All right. Can you guys hear me? Type a 1 if you can hear me. I'm having some technical issues as usual. Okay, you can hear me. Great. Excellent. Oh, wow. So look at you all singing Ding Dong the Witch is Dead in the chat. So apparently, yeah. So apparently Critical K's channel got yanked off YouTube, man. I mean, all I can say is that I'm just kind of surprised that it took as long as it did. You know, I mean, all she does is like, it's like she has a grudge against TOS. It's like she violates terms of service like she hates it. So I mean, I'm not surprised at all. I'm only surprised that it took as long as it did. And I'm sure she'll be back. Y'all are, singing and dancing in your heads about it, but I mean, I'm sure she'll be back in some way, shape, or form, you know. But I mean, it's nice to see that YouTube actually cares about people being doxxed and things of that nature, and families being harassed. I think that's it's nice to see. Yeah. Yep. I don't condone what kind of behavior. Let me be clear about something. I mean, just because you don't see me up here hooting and hollering and celebrating doesn't mean that other people don't have the right to feel that way. I mean, look at the things that she's done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel bad for her in the slightest bit. Not at all. Not even a little bit. I mean, I don't, like, I've never reported her channel. I've never done that stuff. But the thing is I mean, when you do the things that Critical K does on YouTube, there's bound to be consequences. And when the entire most of the community looks at you like you're and the word typically used to describe you is vile, like that is synonymous with Critical K on YouTube, is the word vile that people constantly use. To the point to where she laughs about it. She laughs and mocks people, calling them peasants, and says that, oh yeah, they call me vile. I'm so sick of the word vile. I mean, but the thing is, I got this Jeepers Creepers in here telling me, oh, well, you don't condone that kind of behavior of laughing about it. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't not condone it. I'm the kind of person that it's like, dude, when you do certain things, things are bound to happen. When you behave the way that she has on YouTube, people are going to have feelings about it. And when YouTube yanks your channel, I mean, what do I care? You did that to yourself. Look at this moron. Look at this fool right here. And I'm next, huh? How am I next? Because I don't do the things that Critical K does on YouTube. I don't dox people. You guys like do your damnedest to find anything on me, and that's why you resort to doxing, because it's such a foreign concept to believe that somebody can actually have a YouTube channel and behave ethically. I mean, it's such a foreign concept because you're incapable of doing it. So I mean, look at this genius's comments. Look at his comments. I have I would be the most foolish idiot in the world if anything coming from this guy had any impact on me whatsoever. I mean, like you're dying from liver damage. Look at your rosacea, right? Right? Like that's the best. Let's see, Jeepers Creepers. You are reading a sealed deposition every day on your channel. What about when people decide to mass report you? I bet you don't condone it then. I'm saying if it happens, it happens. What I'm reading is a legal document given to me by someone who had it and who's involved in the case. I mean, I don't feel in the slightest bit guilty about reading what I'm reading. And the reason why I don't feel the slightest bit guilty about reading what I'm reading is because the more I read it, the more I realize that the wrong person has a warrant out for their arrest. Yeah, I said it. Absolutely. I think it's ridiculous that they're trying to paint this guy to be a parental alienator. And I'm showing proof that is pure projection. I'm showing data that it's projection. Exactly. I mean, so this dude is he's so butthurt about his master not having a channel for him to lurk on and kiss ass on. Like, you know what I mean? And like, that's got something to do with me. Like I did something. The guy comes here and trolls my chat because like, as if I had something to do with that. I mean, all I do, I believe in fair play, man. I come up here and I show exactly why Critical K sucks and she's not credible. I mean, that's all I've ever done. That's how I think it should be done. You know? Dude, it is, dude. Like, I've never seen anybody so far up somebody's ass in my life. The dude has absolutely no self-respect whatsoever. Yet he wants to talk to people about self-respect. It's just really, really funny. I mean, so now, I mean, you know, I'm sure she's somewhere complaining. You know what I'm saying? Like, go listen to her complain in Discord or wherever she is. I'm sure she'll start like a Twitch channel, you know, something. And she might be able to appeal it and win. Who knows? Hey, JLL, welcome from Florida. Okay. Like I don't, yeah. I don't care that people are laughing at her about it. Not in the slightest bit. I've heard her laugh. I've heard her laugh about people's monetization getting taken away. Hell, it was when I didn't even know what monetization was, and I had a channel. She was saying monetization. I was like, what? What's that? I don't even know what that is. They pay you? Yeah, I don't feel the least bit sorry for her at all. And it's probably just a hiccup, man. It's probably just a, you know, it's a temporary thing. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, dude, she's awful, dude. The things that she's done is awful. Like, they're awful. So so like when I see people, I mean, no, and trolls, let him be. Let him be. Like, look at how this is the behavior coming from that side of things. This is the behavior. So I mean, like I just let him chat, man. Let him be himself in my chat. It's really doing wonders for his image as well as Critical K's image right now too. He's up here representing her and acting like that. I mean, what else would you possibly expect? I mean, the thing is, everybody's like, stop looking at this like it's a permanent thing. Like Kay's gone. I guarantee you she's not. I guarantee you that she's not. I mean, like I said, to me, it's nice to see that YouTube is taking harassment seriously. So that's cool. That's great. That's great news. But in no way, shape, or form am I of the opinion that this is a permanent thing, that Kay is all of a sudden just going to be like, oh, YouTube doesn't want me on, so I guess I'll quit. That's not going to happen. She's a writer. She's a writer. You can't silence me. I'm a writer. So I mean, yeah, don't don't get your hopes up that you haven't heard the last of Critical K. I promise you guys that. Yeah. And if in some way, shape, or form I'm in violation of TOS, then I'll deal with the consequences for it, man. But I've never done the things that she's done. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big boy. I can handle when it's justified. I can take accountability for my actions. I'm not going to sit here and act like some victim and start tweeting Team YouTube talking about, you want to tell me why you took down my channel? Well, I mean, dude, like, read your email. That's basically what they told her. Like, check your email. We explained it there. I love that they always answer though. Like, they always respond. Team YouTube is awesome on Twitter. They always respond. Yeah, no, I mean, she's not going to be able to monetize herself unless she does it under someone else's name, tax information and all that. I mean, she's never going to be able to monetize herself. So, I mean, when you do stuff, you got to expect something's going to happen, man. She was mass reported. It was an attack. Fair enough if you do something wrong, but she didn't. Anywho, she will be back soon enough. Yeah, I mean, if they like took her channel down and then investigated, okay, then yeah, if whatever she did is fair use, and she comes back on, good on her. I mean, I've done it. She struck my channel and it was fair use, and I appealed it and I won. Ironically. And I mean, but you're not going to do the stuff that you do and expect not to get mass reported. You're not even going to do the stuff you do and expect not to get doxxed. That's why, like, when this dude doxed me, I was just like, it won't be the first. If it's not the first time, won't be the last. Whenever you're saying something that people don't want you to say, they do dirty shit. And I mean, I don't need what was she mass reported for? That's what I want to know. What was she mass reported for? I mean, because I could think of a half a dozen things that merits being mass reported that she's done. I mean, besides there's the doxing that she's done. There's the attacking of the root checks that she's done. There's, I mean, like just anything that she's done on the Watts case, like. Right. She was falsely mass. And if she was falsely mass reported, and she can fight it and get her channel back, I mean, and if she does and she's in the right, then good for her. Possibly, man. You know what? dude has been, he's been hanging back ready. I mean, yeah, he personally told me that he was like, he's got a lot of shit in store for Critical K, legally speaking. And I was just like, I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you at all. Oh, sorry about that, guys. My booster got unplugged. Let me see if that's still happening. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't worry about things like that. I don't see what does that say about these people? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't go on people's channels and talk about how embarrassed their children must be of them, or I talk bad about their families, or I just don't do that stuff, man. Uh, the kind of people that attracts, I can't do nothing with. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. These people, I mean, and I'm going to listen. Let me go ahead and say something regarding Levi Page. Okay. So last night, after I shared that article, we had actually a very civil email exchange, he and I. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that. It was very respectful and it was very civil. I mean, I don't think it's cool that he doxed me, but you know what I mean? Like, I just think that's cowardly. You know what I mean? Like, just the fact that somebody would do that to me is one of those things where I'm just like, that's not somebody I could really like, be cool with. You know, I just, I can't. You know, so I just don't, yeah, like I don't, you know, I can't invest in people that are capable of things like that. And like, that's the first thing that they go to is just, you know what I mean? So, but I will give them credit that, you know, uh, that we had a civil email exchange between the two of us last night, and we'll leave it at that. I have no desire to talk about that dude any further, if I'm being completely honest. Right. I know a Gramsci life. I know how you are. I don't wish any ill will on CK in the slightest bit. You know, I've never been okay. I didn't know that K was doxing people back then. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know what doxing was. So I mean, if you could produce proof of that, you're welcome to. Sure. But it's just so funny how, like, I mean, what does that say about the people that follow her? Is that their instinct is to come in and troll my chat, start throwing a hissy fit, basically just having a little temper tantrum in my chat. That's their response. Not even like, I mean, dude, like Labia Boy has a channel. You know what I'm saying? Like, why doesn't he just go live? You know, talk about it, defend his master. You know, why not? Silly, man, silly. People acting silly. All right. So I'm going to pick up off of where I left last night. Um, so Ms. Lishman asks, and I may have already read this. Sorry. Ms. Lishman asks, okay, May the 7th, there's another phone call with Rita, and she's talking to you about the prior cases. You tell her the problem in the first case was that Meredith was threatening you. Do you remember that? The investigator Meredith came to her house threatening her that she was going to remove the children from her care. So now that first case is Meredith's problem, right? Kelly says no. And this is interesting. Rita asks you, do you think that a family team meeting would be helpful? And this is what you say. You said that you did not believe that it was that it was necessary because you and Jake were fine. Do you remember that? Kelly responds, I don't. I don't know what a family team meeting with CPS is. Perhaps I should have asked her to explain more. Yeah, but here we're talking not about an issue with Mowgli. We're really talking about an issue with, in this case, it's about a report with that Michael made, right? Yes, I think that's the one we're in. So a family meeting would be with Michael, not with Jake, right? Kelly says, I guess. Okay, but you took that to mean a family meeting with Jake, right? Kelly says, I don't know how I took it because I don't remember that conversation. Okay, so Kayla was contacted in the third or fourth investigation, and it was reported that the kids that the kids started seeing her in January of 2020. She said she sees the kids once a month, and so I had earlier asked you like how frequently they were seen, and I believe you said weekly or biweekly. Kelly says I would still stand behind that statement. Okay. And she says based on the dates that she sent me. Lishman asks, so is Kayla just mistaken when she was talking to CPS? Kelly says, sure, we all mistake things. CPS asked you for release on May the 8th. Do you remember that? No. Is Kayla the only therapist that you've enlisted for the kids since August of 2017? Yes. Okay. And so she saw them January to March, and that was it? Yes. Right. Okay. Now on May the 8th, CPS said give us a release. They didn't get the release back from you until May the 13th, a full week later, 7 days later. Why was that delayed? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't recall that. And so at this point, they hadn't even contacted Michael since back on May the 4th. They get the release from you on May the 13th. They close the investigation on the next day. Do you believe that CPS did a thorough investigation? Kelly says, I can't speak to that. I don't. Yes. And then Lishman says, okay. And then Kelly says, I don't. Stops herself. And Lishman says, and would it at least be fair to say that this investigation was shorter and less invasive than the previous CPS investigations? Kelly says, no. I mean, it's just objective. It was shorter, was it not? Kelly says, well, you said less invasive, so I don't think it was less invasive. Okay, but it was shorter. Yes. Substantially shorter. I don't remember how long the first one was open, so it was a lot more than 2 weeks, though, wasn't it? I don't recall. Okay, and they talked to fewer people, right? I don't know who they talked to. Well, they talked to you, they talked to Michael, they talked to Kayla, and that's it. Routzen says, objection form. Kelly's like, okay. Lishman says, so that's fewer people than the others. Kelly says, I don't know how many people they talked to in the others. Okay. Did you remember that you had filed, I think, in like late May or early June? So this is a kind of coinciding with the CPS investigation, a request in Como County for a temporary restraining order. Do you remember that? Yep. Okay. And as part of that, you actually filed an affidavit. Do you remember that? She says, yes, because on the heels of this investigation, when it was closed, it looks like closing letters went out. I want to say May the 27th, even though the investigation ended on the 14th, right? Even though that was going on, Michael gave the kids back to you on May the 21st. And there was an exchange for the May the 21st in Lacey Lakeview, right? Yes. So he didn't withhold the kids from you. Nothing like that, right? Not in May. No. Okay. And it looks like he's got the kids May the 21st. The next day, you're at least aware now that Jack was taken in for a hair follicle test, right? I am. Okay. And do you know what kind of test he got? Kelly says, I don't. A hair follicle test? And then she says, a hair follicle test. Do you know what zero tolerance means? Kelly says, zero tolerance? Yes. Okay. It means zero tolerance, I assume, Kelly says. Well, I'm speaking in relation to drug tests. Kelly says, I could assume it means zero tolerance. So she asks, okay, right. Okay. So you have some understanding of that. So it was a zero tolerance drug test. On May the 25th, Michael gave the kids back to you. Do you remember that? Yes. Okay. And on May the 26th, Michael calls Rita, and Rita says the case is closed. Do you know that? Did you know that? Yes. Okay. And Michael says, what do you mean the case is closed? Words to that effect. I'm not saying an exact quote. And so the next day, on May the 28th, he got the results of that zero tolerance hair follicle drug test. Have you ever seen that actual drug test result? Kelly says, yes. Okay. When did you see it? Sometime after that, Kelly answers. Uh-huh. And you don't remember when? No. I mean, what's your reaction to, well, let me ask you this. How did you first learn that there was a positive drug test result? Kelly says, CPS called me. When did they call you? That day. The 28th? Yes. What did they tell you? That Michael had a positive drug test for Jack. And what did you think? I thought that's crazy. How would that ever have happened? Do I believe this? Do you believe it? Did you believe it? Kelly says, not really, no. And I would have never suspected my children to have been on drugs or under the influence of drugs or have access to them. So it felt like, another accusation. Okay, so at this point, all you know is that there's a positive drug test result, but not for a second. Did you give it any sort of credence? Considering, and not for a second, did you give it any sort of credence? Considering I had the kids in my care and they were and never did demonstrate. Oh, wait, guys. Hey, real quick. I'm on page 185, and there's 285 pages to this deposition. Do you know what that means? I got 100 fucking pages left. Got 100 fucking pages. Crikey. 100 fucking pages left. Every time I think about that guy, I crack up. Sorry. Okay. Crikey. Okay, so at this point, all you know is that there's a positive drug test result, but not for a second did you give it any sort of credence. Considering I had the kids in my care and they were and never did demonstrate that it would appear to be they were under the influence or anything, or that I was aware that they would be, I have no knowledge of how they would even get something in my care. So no, the answer is no. My concern would be maybe it was in Michael's care. Okay. So you think that somehow maybe, or did you think at the time that maybe Michael had exposed the children to drugs himself? I considered it as a possibility. Yes. Okay. And did you think that anybody else could have exposed the kids to drugs? No. No. What about Jake Bellington? Did you ever consider maybe he had exposed the kids to drugs? He goes, Jake? She goes, yeah, Jake, sorry. I get them. She says, no. Okay. How about anybody in your travels? No, nobody else. The only person that you could have pointed a finger at would be Michael. I wasn't pointing a finger. I was just trying to come up with some sort of explanation. And so I didn't have one. And so you're visited shortly thereafter by law enforcement, right? And they come in and you immediately start talking about Michael and suggesting he has mental health issues, correct? Yes. And you suggest to CPS that the issue is not your prior history with CPS. The issue is not the prior allegations of family violence. The issue is not you calling 911. The issue isn't anything to do with you. Kelly says the issue was with the drug test. The issue was not that maybe the child had been exposed to the drugs. The issue was that Michael had mental health problems, and you continue to discredit Michael in that regard to CPS and law enforcement, right? Kelly says, I continue to explain my experience with Michael. If that discredited him, then so Lishman says, okay, let me ask you this. Things are okay. So I'm just thinking each opportunity that Michael could have filed a modification, right? He could have filed that modification back in May of 2019 when you got your first CPS investigation, right? Didn't do it. He didn't do it, right? No. Second time, he could have filed with CPS in January. He didn't do it then either, did he? No. The third basis would be Sophie's reaction to not wanting to go back home to you. He did not file on that basis either. No. By my count, fourth would be you going to Oklahoma and, in his perception, not sharing information, withholding information about the circumstances. He did not file on that basis. Now we're at number 5. He's got this positive drug test for the 7-year-old child, still doesn't file a modification, right? No. And then I'm just wondering, I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot at any of these points, would you have filed a modification against him? Kelly says, I don't know. I wasn't in that situation, so I don't know what I would have done. I can't predict it. Okay, guys. Yeah, let me look over chat a little bit. I mean, so think about that. Okay, you've got this guy. He's supposedly hell-bent on destroying her image to the kids, right? He's hell-bent on keeping her away. Michael Long is a psychopath who cannot get over his relationship with Kelly, and he'll be damned if Jake has any more, has any type of role in their life, because Kelly is his woman, right? That he is so littered with jealousy that on all of these 5 occasions that Lishman goes down the list of, 5 different occasions that would merit him filing a motion of modification, he doesn't do it. He has every right to file motions of modification as far as to end up with the kids. He has every right to do it. There's 5 different incidents that would justify him doing so, and yet he never does. But yet at the same time, he's hell-bent on destroying Kelly and using and taking the kids just to hurt her. Does that make any sense to anybody here? That this guy with 2 attorneys, right, never uses his attorneys to hurt Kelly when he had plenty of opportunity to. I mean, right. I mean, that's how is this guy, how is the court finding this guy guilty of parental alienation when he's not doing anything to alienate his kids from their mother? He's not doing anything to do that. Yeah, like that's just what she just kept doing. Everything was about Michael. Everything. This is a guy that's not trying to hurt his ex. He's not. I mean, it's crazy. He's not doing anything malicious at all. So the guy believes in being positive and treating everybody with respect, right? And this is used against him to make him look crazy. Like, forget all of the actions of him just being passive and going, okay, well, I don't want my kids to not have their mother. I need to get to the bottom of what's going on as to why they don't want to spend time with their mother. What's going on? And then Sophie makes these claims of SA taking place against her. But I mean, something horrible is happening in that house. I don't care what anyone says. Something horrible is happening in that house if a child is that terrified of being in that environment. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying it's SA. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But she's obviously miserable. Yeah, I mean, and they're talking about me in that courtroom too. Apparently, I mean, all it's saying is that Michael has given me a bunch of court documents. Like Kelly's attorney is telling the judge, oh, you know, gave it to some YouTube creator named The Glarer. And I mean, well, yeah, you put a warrant out for the guy's arrest, like for no good reason. I mean, you're trying to throw the guy in jail, which you've already sentenced him to. You're trying to throw him in jail and put his daughter in an environment that she's terrified of. Yeah, like she loses it when Jake like wants to leave. It's crazy. Well, see, I don't even know. I don't even know if you know what I mean? Like I don't know if they belong in jail. I don't know. That's my whole thing. Is that like if what Sophie's claiming is true, then that there needs to be, you know, there needs to be an investigation, a thorough one that takes place. That's all I'm saying, you know, like why is nobody questioning why? That's why it's so Twilight Zone. Why nobody seems to be coming together to help this child, and they're going out of their way to pay favoritism to Kelly. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it could be that she just, I mean, you know, for all we know, as far as like the essay taking place, I mean, for all we know, she could just be saying that it happened because she just loves her dad that much and she just wants to stay with her dad. That's a possibility. I don't believe that's the case, but it's also a possibility until things get proven. You know what I mean? Like until things are proven, you know, but the things, I mean, the way that Sophie describes things in these reports that I've read, they don't, it doesn't sound made up at all. It's really disturbing actually. um yeah, she just, I mean, why isn't anybody so concerned about why she's so terrified to go back there? And why are they, with all of this evidence that completely and totally dictates the opposite, that there's parental alienation happening from Michael's end, you know, why isn't this being looked at? Why aren't these questions being asked? Yeah, I'm just where I'm at. I don't know what's going on in Kelly's house. I don't know, but where I'm at, like, I'm not seeing any evidence of Michael being in some sort of way, you know, in any way abusive to his own children. I just don't see that, and I don't see him trying to use the children to hurt Kelly. Um, it was just, I mean, it was kind of crazy to read those text messages, like to read those transcripts of the text messages uh on app close, because they had, like, he was like, okay, well, it says vacation time, right? When they don't have school, I get them. So he's just trying to stick to what it says. And she had even said, okay, cool, it's fine. But then out of nowhere, she sends a text going, if you don't have the kids in Waco, I'm going to be in Waco. And if you don't have the kids, then the police are going to remove them. You know what I mean? Like, we have a recording of her trying to call, of calling the Frisco PD, trying to get an Amber Alert issued. I mean, when all he was doing was spending time with his kids on the agreed upon time. So why does she think, this is what we went over yesterday, why did she think that it would be healthier for the children to have them ripped away by the police than to spend a few more days with Michael, with their dad? Now, at no point does she say in the deposition, because I think that he's dangerous. She never says that. I mean, that's possible. But why does she? I mean, yeah, like why not just look at it as? I mean, here's my take on that. My thing is, she's having these problems with Jake, right? Why is that not? How is that not seen as an opportunity to just focus on you and Jake? We got a little extra time without the kids. Let's focus on us. Why isn't it in her mind? Well, okay, it's important to me to maintain the relationship that I have right now. And there's something seriously wrong with the dynamics between my kids here and Jake. So what I'm going to do is take advantage of the fact that the kids are with their dad, and I'm going to try to work things out with Jake, because it's important to me that my kids get along with the man I'm in love with. But that doesn't even, no, that's give me my kids or face the consequences. Like, I mean, yeah, it definitely comes off that way, doesn't it? Yeah, I just don't, it doesn't make any sense to me. Right. I mean, that's what her behavior is at least consistent with. Is that right there, Road King? Right. Yeah. But why was that the priority? She perceives it as a loss of control, but why was that the priority? You know what I mean? Like, if you're so insistent on having this person in your life and you're having all these problems with them, wouldn't it make sense to take advantage of the time that you get to spend with him and fix the situation so that you can create a comfortable environment for your children when they come back? I mean, wouldn't that be the logical thing to do? But that's not the issue. I'm not bringing them home. I'm taking them from Michael. That's the perspective coming from Kelly in those actions. It's not I'm bringing my kids home to me. It's I'm taking them from Michael. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that I mean that the judge didn't even hold her in contempt for that. Like, a kid literally got hurt. All right, so back to this affidavit. Uh, Lishman says, You mentioned in this affidavit, and this is either CPS case number 4 or 5, depending on your account, right? Caseworker informed me that Michael had been calling her daily with new evidence, in quotation marks, quote unquote, new evidence, and she was beginning to ignore him. What caseworker told you that they were ignoring Michael? Rita. So Rita said that she was ignoring Michael. And when did Rita let you know that she was ignoring Michael? Kelly says, I don't know that that's the exact phrase she used, but that is what I took from the conversation. Lichman says, what did she say that made you have that takeaway? Kelly answers, something that would have made me have that takeaway. I don't recall the exact words that she used. Right. And it's not a direct quote. I'm quoting your affidavit that you swore to. And this is you saying that Rita said that he'd been calling her with new evidence and she was ignoring him. Remember, this isn't a sworn affidavit, okay? That Kelly states this, that Rita was ignoring Michael. So Kelly says, yes, that's how I summarized the conversation. So in summary, that's what Rita let you know. In summary, my interpretation of the conversation. See, that's not Rita actually saying that. That's you trying to weasel out of this question by saying that's my interpretation of the conversation. Okay, so after leaving that interpretation, did you think that Rita was taking any of Michael's quote unquote new evidence seriously? Objection form. Kelly says there wasn't new evidence was the issue. Lichman says, so the answer is no. Okay. Later in your affidavit, you say, at the end of May, this is where you're talking about this case. Child Protective Services contacted you and informed you that you would be closing out the case. And all the allegations made were a complete waste of their resources and time. Who at CPS told you that the allegations were a waste of their resources and time? Kelly says, I don't recall. Maybe Rita. Richmond says, well, was there somebody else that you were in contact with at CPS at the end of May? Kelly says, I don't believe so. Lichman says, so it would have been Rita. Kelly says, yeah. Okay. Then you go on to say the caseworker stated that she continues to receive more allegations. However, she was choosing to ignore them. So this is the second time when Rita, I guess, was saying that she was ignoring Michael. It was information from 2007 about me. So no. She was not investigating things that I went through in 2007. No. Lichman says, okay, I'm going to object as non-responsive. Lichman says, I'm just asking you in particular about this conversation at the end of May that you had with Rita. Yes. Okay. And you said in your affidavit, the caseworker stated she continues to receive allegations. However, she was choosing to ignore them, right? So it was Rita for a second time saying words to you to the effect that she was ignoring Michael, right? Kelly says it could have been the same conversation. Yes. She says at the end of May, this is the latest CPS case with the positive drug test as the basis. Did CPS during that investigation ask you to take a drug test? Kelly says yes. Okay. When did they ask you? Kelly says, I don't recall. My attorney at that point was involved in having communication with them. Okay, would it have been, here's the records. Here's what the records say. You help me understand them. It looks like your attorney was Amber. She was talking to CPS on your behalf because you wouldn't talk to them without it all had to go through your attorney at that time again, right? Yes. Okay. June 2nd, 2020. Amber's talking to CPS. They're talking about how everybody needs to take a drug test. The records state that they had basically emailed Michael following that conversation to take a drug test. So he got his notice to take a drug test. According to CPS records on June the 2nd, did you also get an email on June the 2nd asking you to take the drug test? I don't recall. You don't recall. Okay. Well, he says, I did what my attorney instructed me to do. Okay. Do you recall Amber asking you to take a drug test on June the 2nd or thereabouts? No. Were you aware that Michael and Courtney did indeed take their hair follicle test the next day on June the 3rd? No. Did not know that. She's asking, so you did not know that. Okay. And then this is one of the examples where you're telling CPS that there's an open custody case, and this is June the 2nd or 3rd. Broughton objects form. Kelly says, I can't recall what I said. I don't have an open custody case. I think I would say an ongoing custody situation or battle. Richmond says, okay. Well, the records reflect that you told CPS that it was a custody battle between you and Michael. Okay. I can only speak to what I recall saying. Okay. Then it looks like June the 10th, you agreed to let Jack be taken for a hair follicle. Is that accurate? If that's the day, yes. I don't remember the exact day. Did CPS ask you to get Jack tested or all three children? Jack. Okay. Only Jack? Yes. I requested to have the other two tested. Okay. And then did you get the results of Jack's test? Yes. Okay. It looks like they were that was emailed to you on June 17th, 2020. I don't recall the exact day it was emailed. Okay. Well, that's something that hasn't been produced to me in discovery either. Do you know why not? Well, he says it probably went to my attorney, not me. Well, CPS records reflect that they emailed it to you, Amber, and to you on 6/17/2020. Are you saying, and I thought that you had testified you had gotten it. So are you saying now that you didn't get it? I got it. I remember getting it from my attorney. Okay. So what you're saying is actually your attorney got it and provided it to you. You did not ever receive it directly from CPS. Not that I can recall, Kelly says. Okay. And what does that have to do with my question about why it wasn't produced to me? And she's talking about how it wasn't produced to her in discovery. Kelly says, because it was sent to me from my attorney and you already have a copy that I'm aware of. Okay. In the CPS records, Kelly says. Okay, well, I'll represent to you it's not in the CPS records. Do you think you can supplement your discovery response with that drug test result? Yes. And the only reason I'm asking, I'll just be candid with you, is we talked earlier about a zero tolerance test. And that's the one that Michael got. I'm curious, what kind of hair follicle test did Jack get? I don't know. I did what CPS instructed. They told me to go bring him to a drug test. They told me it's all taken care of. It's all ordered. You don't need to do anything. So I followed their instructions. So the selection of the test was done by CPS, not by you? Yes. Did you pay for it? No. Okay. At what point did CPS ask you to take a test? I'm trying not to find that. Or I'm trying to find that. Looks like June the 25th. Does that sound right? Sure, but I don't recall the exact date when. Okay, June the 25th through email. Do you remember if they asked you for a hair follicle? I don't recall. It was all going through my attorney that I can recall. Okay. Do you know the difference between a hair follicle test and a urinalysis drug test? Yes. Okay. So do you know, but you don't recall which, if they specified what kind of test they wanted you to take? It changed a variety of times, Kelly says. Okay, well, I'm just talking about the initial request. Did they ask you to do hair follicle or urinalysis? I don't recall. My attorney said that they requested multiple different ones at different times. Okay, okay, guys. Are you seeing the dance, the song and dance that she's doing here? It's a real simple question. How are you not going to remember? It was just last year. If I get a drug test done, I'm going to know if they took a follicle in my hair or made me pee in a cup. I mean, why is she dancing around this? Why is she being difficult about this, of all things? Yeah, like she conveniently doesn't remember anything. I mean, this is total madness. Yeah. Like if your 7-year-old is taking a, that's a pretty like pretty massive event in your life when your 7-year-old tests positive for cocaine and marijuana, right? A 7-year-old tests positive for these two narcotics, one of them being a narcotic. For a child, absolutely. So test positive for these two narcotics, and she can't remember any details about it. I mean, well, that kind of sounds like a druggie, no? I'm not saying that's the case. I mean, I don't know. It just, but you know, like either she's a liar or she's a burnout. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I'm taking it. Makes no sense. Makes no sense why she's dancing around this the way that she is. Okay, from the time that you got the first request for a drug test, when did you actually take a drug test? I don't recall. In July. Okay. I don't. She said, I can't find it in the CPS records until August, Kelly. Kelly says, okay. Do you remember taking a drug test before August? I had taken a urine test before then. Yes, I do recall that. When did you take your urine drug test? Sometime in July. And why did you take a urine drug test instead of a hair follicle? Because I was getting multiple different directions from my attorney on what CPS was requesting and why and when. Okay, so why did you not just go take the drug test like Michael did and be done with it? I don't know. The August test was that it looks like it was also a urine test. Uh, Kelly says no. Okay, was it hair? Yes. Okay, so you took a hair drug test in August. If that's what the records say. If that's what the records say that when I took it, say that's when I took it. I don't recall exactly when I took it. Okay, did you do that again through CPS? In other words, where they set it up and you just showed up to the lab. You didn't fill out any paperwork, you didn't pay for it, just took the hair and did it? Yes. Do you know why CPS would be affording you that accommodation, but they didn't do that for Michael? I didn't know that. No. Did you know that Michael and Courtney paid for their tests out of pocket? No. While all this is going on, the kids go to Michael for summer on June the 15th, right? Yes. That's when the exchange happened. And so we talked a little bit earlier about the comment that Sophie made about the pain she was having. And she gets in a semantic argument with her here, but if I read it, then I'll explain. I just don't like saying what Sophie described. It was very, very disturbing. Would it surprise you to know, actually, let me ask you this. Did you read the affidavit of Courtney that was attached to the pleading at the end of July? Kelly says, no, you did not read the affidavit. No. Okay. And is there some reason why you wouldn't want to read what Courtney had to say about what was going on? The basis for, Kelly says, I had my attorneys communicate. Hold on. The basis for the lawsuit? Sorry, can you say that all over again? I apologize, Kelly says. Sure. You just didn't think it was important to read what Courtney had to say about the basis for the lawsuit and the request for the TRO. Kelly says, yeah, it was important. Okay, but not important enough to actually read it. Kelly says, I had personal reasons for not reading it. Okay, and at the time, were you aware that Sophie had made an outcry of SA to Courtney? No. Okay, you said you didn't read the affidavit, but your attorney had relayed that information to you. I don't want to. What was the date of the affidavit? Courtney's affidavit. Sorry. Okay, let me just finish the question. And then we can go from there, because I want you to be able to answer, accurately. You said that your attorneys related to you the basis for the suit, and you had your own reasons to not read the affidavit and that you never read it. And I don't want to get into any private conversations, privileged conversations between you and your attorneys. But my question is, did you at least understand that an outcry of SA had been made by Sophie to Courtney? Kelly says yes. Or Kelly says, was this? She doesn't say yes. She says, was this the Dan, the Dan outcry? She says, I'm just asking you a general question. What was the date of this? Was the end of July. There was an affidavit from Courtney. Did you at least have an understanding that an outcry of SA had been made at the time? Kelly says yes. Okay, thank you. Sorry, your timeline was confusing me a little bit, Kelly says. Okay. Kelly says, do you want to wait? She's left the doors open. Do you need to take a break? Sure, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's actually a good idea. Let's all take a break here. Let me look over chat here for a second. Yeah, I agree. That is quite strange. Why wouldn't she read that affidavit? Hey, Mama Jane Star. Yeah, I mean, what? Why doesn't she seem in the slightest bit concerned about, like, in every time SA comes up in this deposition, she seems to be not even in the slightest bit concerned about it. That's, I mean, that's more than a little bit odd, no? That's a logical theory. That's a logical theory that she's so blinded by her dislike of Michael that she doesn't put any stock in any of it. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I'll buy that. Sort of, kind of. I mean, but that's still negligent. That's absolutely negligent. Because what if the allegations are true? Right. No. I get what you're saying, Kara. I get what you're saying. I'm not. I know you're not justifying it, but you're making a solid point. Um, it just brings me to that point, you know. I mean, that's a theory too. That's a theory too. Um, oh God. Did I? Did I? No. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that, Cherry K. I don't know. I don't recall doing that. So, okay. Could be. I mean, could be she's just playing this in a foolish way. You know, could be she's just being foolish in this deposition. You know, and just being combative for the sake of being combative, and being difficult for the sake of being difficult. You know, I mean, again, I just don't feel like, you know, it's still extremely concerning. You know, because if the objective is the well-being of your child, this would be, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm just not. Yeah, I'm not buying. Like, I'm not buying the. Let's see. If she was so certain that nothing was happening at her house, why wouldn't she read the affidavit and wonder if Michael did something? She said that was her first thought about the drugs. I was thinking that too, Angela Dawn. Like, right. Like, if he's such a monster, you know what I mean? Like, and she's there's diagnosis of SA by a parent, because I've seen it. I mean, why wouldn't she, you know, look into that? Look into Michael. You know what I'm saying? Strange. Yeah, I agree with you. I find it strange how she's answering these questions. She's dodging these questions like like nobody's business. Let's see. I think Kelly's life was out of control when she realized CPS was paying attention to her home life, and that Sophie had spoken out where she was once protecting mom. She had to switch attention. I mean, just I just, yeah, like, it doesn't make sense. Her focus doesn't seem to be at all like for the well-being of the children at all. All right. So Miss Lishman, they come back from their break. Okay, Kelly, I just have to do a little housekeeping. I'm going to show you what I've marked as exhibit number 1. Do you recognize that as the second amended notice to take your deposition today? Kelly says, I haven't seen this. Could I read it, please? Miss Lishman says, sure. And if it's helpful, I'll just represent that I served that on your attorney, and maybe David can also represent on the record that that's the notice that he received. Routson says, I do so represent. Kelly says, I just want to read it real quick, if that's okay. Exhibit 1 is marked for identification. Okay. Fishman says, okay. And it's pursuant to that notice that you're appearing here today. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, thank you. Now I want to talk to you about your attorney's fees real quick. I got invoices from Amber in discovery, and by the math, you spent or paid her office roughly between $70,000 and $80,000. Does that sound accurate? Kelly says, no. How much do you recall spending on your attorney's fees with Amber with Amber? I don't know. I would, if it's been that much, that's a lot. So I can't name the exact amount. If that's the amount, then I don't know. Okay, so you're not disputing that that's the amount. You just, it doesn't sound right to you. It seems like a lot, Kelly says. I don't feel like I spent that much. So you can't say one way or the other. I mean, what feels like a number to you that you feel like you spent on Amber? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That's just, it feels really high. I would question how you arrived at that number. Well, I just looked at all the invoices you produced and I did a rough, Kelly says, I just forwarded any invoices. So if there were things that like flowed over from month to month, like, I don't know, I just sent monthly invoices. So if they were things that they were unpaid and rolled over into the next month, I don't know if you can add that into like the total bill. It feels high. Okay. And who did you forward the invoices to? Either Alyssa or David. Okay. So you're talking about forwarding them for production, not forwarding them to somebody else for payment. No. Okay. Did you pay all of those personally? No. Okay. Who was paying your attorney's fees with Amber? I was. Okay. Who else? My mom made one payment. How did your mom pay? I don't know. Can you ballpark it for me? A couple of thousand. So roughly $2,000. That's my ballpark. Did anyone else pay attorney's fees to Amber on your behalf? No. Okay. And I don't have any invoices for your legal services with David. Where are those invoices? I don't know. Have you ever received an invoice from David? Yes. Okay. No, I have not. Have you received one or not? Okay. No. Okay. I don't know. I'm not making a joke. I just need to know. Kelly says, I haven't received any invoice. Okay. You've never received an invoice for David. So do you have any idea how much you owe him for your legal services in this case? I don't. A lot would be my guess. Have you paid David a retainer? Yes. How much was the retainer? $7,500. And at this point, I'm sure that the retainer is exhausted. And have you discussed that? Kelly says, I would assume. That's a weird answer. Has David's office or David himself asked you to pay additional retainers? No. So $7,500 is the total amount that you've paid to David to date. I may have made one payment in there. Yes, additional. In addition to the $7,500, what other payments have you made to David? It probably would have been about $5,000 if I did it. That sounds right. So you've paid David roughly somewhere between maybe 75 all the way up to maybe 12.5 at this point. At this point, yes, Kelly says. Okay. Has anybody else made payments to David Routson on your behalf? No. Okay. Did you know that there's a link on David's homepage for members of the public to contribute to your litigation trust fund? Kelly says yes. Okay. And how do you know that? Kelly says, because I can see it. Okay. I mean, there was a discussion before that got put up with you. Yeah, I was. It was requested of like actually David was getting requests as to what I'm aware of. Your belief is that member like people in the public said, David, can you put a link on your webpage on your webpage so we can give Kelly money? Yes. How much money has been donated to that or raised through that link on David's homepage? I don't know. Not $200,000. That's for sure. I'm not asking you that. I'm just asking if you know how much money. Kelly says, I don't know. So it could be $200,000 for all you know, right? She says, that would be great. Yes. Okay. Do you feel any sort of personal responsibility to keep tabs on that? I trust David. No. First of all, nobody trusts their lawyer. Nobody trusts their lawyer when it comes to money. Nobody does. I'm telling you guys right now, nobody trusts their lawyer with money. They trust their lawyer once they pay their attorney. They trust them with handling the legal stuff. This is what I pay you for. So I'm paid to trust you with certain things. But when it comes to money, I want to see an invoice of everything that I'm paying. Absolutely. Totally. But she doesn't seem even concerned with the costs of her attorney. Like as if money's not even an issue. I mean, so and here's another side of that coin. What I find interesting, is the fact that there's this link in Routson's webpage, right? To where you can donate to Kelly's legal fund. I mean, doesn't that give her motive to break the gag order? Think about that. That provides her with motive of breaking the gag order, does it not? Because word of mouth gets out. Word of mouth gets out that you can go to this website just like KJ did on her live streams. She shared that link. She absolutely did. And so she has a PR firm under her employ, right? So I mean, like, she's not paying attention to anything. So obviously they're not even talking about money. Her and her attorney are not even talking about money. Why are they not talking about money? Well, logic would dictate it's because there's a healthy amount of donations coming through that website. Hold on. So, I mean, that's what that tells me, that there's a healthy amount of money going through that website. And so that money's not even an issue. This dude's getting paid, right? Routson's getting his money. Routon's getting his fees. He's like, don't worry about that. She's got a whole fan club out there, right? Doing the same thing that Michael did, except this is going straight to the attorney. It's not a GoFundMe, right? It's just going straight to the attorney. Right. Being fueled by KJ and CK, but ex-CK off of there now. She's not doing much. She's not doing much for the PR firm these days. Yeah, Routon filed a motion. Routon filed the motion for the jail time. So, yeah, it's not like the judge just said, okay, jail time. They filed a motion for it. Okay, so I'm going to continue here. So the answer is no. Okay, and let me ask you this. What other fundraising efforts do you have or being conducted on for your benefit for this case? None that I'm aware of, Kelly says. None that you're aware of. No. Have members of the public or people offered to give you money to help with your legal case other than through the link of David's homepage? No. And you are concerned about the funds that Michael has raised for his attorney's fees through GoFundMe. Is that accurate? Yeah. Okay. Do you think that members of the public should not be allowed to contribute to Michael's litigation fund? I think that members of the public can do whatever they want. Okay. So you have a problem with Michael raising money. You don't have a problem with yourself raising money. Objection form, Routon says. Lichman says, is that accurate? Kelly says, no. Well, you tell me what's accurate, because I'm getting like a little bit of a confusing response from you. Kelly says, I didn't start a GoFundMe, and I don't see those two things as the same, so I can't compare them. How are they not the same? Okay, in what way do you see them as different? One is very publicized all over the internet through a fundraising specific campaign where the funds, you know, who knows how they're being handled. I certainly don't. So she's implying that the funds, that the GoFundMe is not being used for Michael's legal fees, which I can assure you they were because I saw the receipts myself. Is yours not on the internet? Good question. Kelly says it's not on a fundraising page, but it's on the internet, right? Yes. Okay. Do you know that? I mean, obviously, you know that you have more financial means available to you than Michael does to him. I have a job. Yes. Okay. And you know that Michael would have no way of matching that kind of legal investment that you could put forth without help. Unemployed people typically can't. No. Wow, dude. So you want to get into the little digs about him not having formal employment. Is that your point of your response? She says, I'm just making a point. Good on you for calling her out for taking those digs, man. Good on you, Lishman. That was awesome. So the point that you're trying to make. So what's the point that you're trying to make? Kelly says, I have a job and that's how I can afford to finance my life. Do you think that that's kind of an attitude towards Michael contributes to the breakdown of co-parenting between the two of you? No. Okay. But you look down on Michael. No. You see yourself as superior to him because you have a formal job and he does not have a formal job. No. Okay. I guess I'm confused by your responses then. What was the point of specifically telling me that you're employed and he's unemployed? I was just simply telling you how I fund my efforts. Okay. And your goal was to outspend him in this case, right? To make sure that he could run out of resources so he would quit. No. You're upset that he has raised funds now and he doesn't have to quit, right? Whew, man. Ellie says no. He can keep up with you in the spending on attorney's fees because he has donations, right? I'm not upset. No. But you're aware that he can now keep up with you in spending on attorney's fees because he has these donations. Yeah. Okay. I didn't receive any invoices or contract between you and the PR firm that you're working with. What's the name of it again? Is it Red Banyan? If that's what you got written down, that sounds right. Come on, man. Richard says, well, I'm asking you, is that the name? I believe that's correct. Do you have a contract with the PR firm? I don't know that I signed a contract. Okay. You're not sure if you do or you don't, but you might. Do you know that when I asked you in discovery for these contracts, were you aware that you have some duty to make a diligent effort to search for those things? Kelly says, yes. So you would have some obligation to know whether or not a contract exists. I don't recall signing one, Kelly says. Okay. And certainly you would have an obligation to produce that to me, right? I don't recall signing one. Okay. Well, do you understand now that you have a duty to find out if you have one, and to produce it to me if one exists? Kelly says, yes. And is there a way that you can get that to me as a supplement to your discovery? If it exists, Kelly says. Do you have any invoices with Red Banyan? Kelly says, no. With your PR firm? Kelly says, no. Okay. Did you pay them? What funds have you paid? Kelly says $5,000 or something around that amount. And what was that? Was that like a retainer? I don't know how they classified it. Have they asked you for more money? Yes. What is the request? It was the request was to pay what I'm able to. What does that mean? They didn't request that I pay an invoice and didn't provide me with an invoice and said, please pay what you're able to. What? All right. Did they have a number in mind of what they wanted you to pay? Kelly says, no, they did not provide me a number. Lishman says, and when was this request made? This week I paid it. What did you pay this week? $5,000. So prior to this $5,000 payment this week, you had given the PR firm any funds? No. When did you first contact the PR firm? The day this went online. I don't remember the exact date. I'm sorry. You said the day this went online? I don't know what that means. The date that Michael sent everything up online is the date that I contacted them. And I don't know what that date was. I want to say it was a Saturday. What month? The end of August. Sometime in August, you contacted the PR firm. How did you find this PR firm? Google. Okay. And who is the point person in terms of communicating with the PR firm? Is it you? Is it David? Or is it both of you? I would say me, both. Okay. I was the first one to reach out. And you were communicating in emails, or are you communicating via phone calls, or both? Or how are you communicating? Phone calls. Phone calls, any emails being exchanged? Not that I can recall. What about text messages? Yes. Okay. So there's text messages. What's the name of the point person at the PR firm? Kelsey. What's her last name or his? Her. Okay. What's Kelsey's last name? Okay. Okay. Now, why did you hire them? Because I woke up one day and I was being slandered all over the internet as a child abuser. Let me ask you this. What did you hire them to do for you? I didn't know. I was scared and I felt greatly out of my expertise and comfort zone. Okay. So what did you want them to do for you? I didn't know. I wanted them to look, I guess, at what was happening and help me work through if I needed to do anything or not. I mean, you don't wake up and expect that. So I didn't know how to respond. And so have you come up with some sort of strategy since then? That initial hiring, have you come up with some sort of goals? No. Any kind of task specifically? No. So how does Kelsey know what they're doing? What to do? They are looking online and based on what's happening, making recommendations, point in time. There's not a long-term goal or strategy that I'm aware of or have been privy to. They're making recommendations to who? To me and David. What kind of recommendations? Should we talk to Nancy Grace? I mean, they're basically just responding to what's already been put out there on the internet. So it's very reactive, not what I would consider to be proactive. Right. The fraud alert, who authored that? Them. Who is them? The PR company. Who at the PR company? I don't know. Okay. Were you in the loop on that? I mean, was it just sent out without your knowledge? Did you? No. Okay, guys, this is really, really fascinating because right here, guys, we're hearing Kelly testify under oath right now that the PR firm put out that fraud alert, which was false, by the way. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, basically, so what she's doing is proving what Lishman's doing right now is she's proving that she was trying to control Michael's income so that he would run out of representation. So all of his money would run out. All of his money for legal fees would run out, and then he would just quit and give up. But that has happened since this deposition took place. That actually has happened, but he hasn't quit. Oh, she's totally admitting to playing dirty. She's totally admitting to playing dirty because that fraud claim was false. There was no fraud. There was no fraud. So this is fantastic right here. Like hearing her talk about what her and that PR firm do, because it's always been a big secret. We don't know what the hell the PR firm was and what it was doing. Lishman says, okay, so you knew that was coming down the pipe. Somebody wrote it. Yes. Did you have input on what would go in there? I looked at it after it was written. Did you tell them like the different kinds of factual things that should go in there? I provided a summary of my experience, Kelly says. Okay. Did you provide that? How did you provide that summary? Was it in writing? It was verbally. You verbally provided what kind of summary? A summary of my experience being married to Michael and post-divorce. What from your verbal summary actually made its way into the written fraud alert? I don't recall everything that was written in the fraud alert. Do you recall anything? I recall that, I suffered psychological abuse from Michael, and I recall that CPS, like, actually, I don't remember what was in the first one other than the psychological abuse. Was there another what? Yes. What's the second one? After our court date in October 2nd. And how was that released? Through them. And it was another fraud alert? No. How was it? What did it purport to be? An update on what happened in court so that I didn't have to speak publicly on it to anyone. This was like a press release. Who was it distributed to? I don't know. Their PR thing. Who was with you at court? My mom. Okay, who else? Security guards. Who else? Stephanie and John. Anybody else? No. Did you have anybody from the PR firm present on October the 2nd at court? No. How soon after that October 2nd court date, when we left, how soon after that did you contact the PR firm? I waited until I saw Michael say something, and then I thought I should make sure that I have my voice represented also. My question is, how soon after? I don't know how long after it was. Okay. And what did you contact them to do for you? Put out a press release of the events that happened during the day so that I would, again, not have to continue to publicly speak on the topic because I find it pretty exploitatious. So the fraud alert, the first press release that purported to be fraud alert. If I'm understanding your testimony, you had a conversation with somebody at your PR firm. They drafted up this fraud alert using the information from you. And it quotes, it says that it's coming from Mr. Rowson's office, his law office, right? They purport to be the sponsor of the fraud alert, correct? And then it also talks about family sources. Who are these family sources? Was it just you? I don't know. Well, as far as you know, were you the only one that provided information to the PR firm? I provided information. I don't know if they were spoken with if they spoken with my family or not. How would you not know that? There's no reason to tell me. Okay. Do you know if your mom was also helping to develop this purported fraud alert? I'm not aware of it. Okay. So as far as you know, you're the only one that provided the information. As far as I can say for certain, yes. Okay. But to the best of your knowledge, you are the family source. Yes. Okay. Why is it important in there to talk about, for example, Michael's bankruptcy? Why did you think that was important? His financial struggle seemed very, tied to the GoFundMe and exploitation of Sophie. That was very greatly and deeply disturbing to me. Okay. Are you sure it wasn't just a low blow? It was an easy pot shot. It was low-hanging fruit that you could take a jab at him to discredit him. No. Okay. Kind of like your testimony today, where you keep emphasizing the fact that he's unemployed in just pot shots, right? I mentioned that once as it relates to our abilities to finance this legal custody. So I mentioned that once. Yes. It's kind of low-hanging fruit though, right? Mr. Routzman says objection form. Lishman says, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with the kids, does it? Kelly says it does. You filed for bankruptcy with Michael at that time. You failed to mention that you were also a participant in the bankruptcy proceeding. I was not, Kelly says. So she denies it. Lishman says, no, okay. What about Michael's living conditions, that he lives in an RV? I mean, what about the fact that made you think that that needed to be included in this purported fraud alert / press release? I believe that this is an inappropriate long-term solution to have 4 children living in a small RV. I feel like it directly correlates to the choices he makes as a parent, simply to the choices that he makes regarding finances or his employment. Are you sure it's, again, not just an easy target? Kelly says, I'm sure. Now, I want to point out, guys, the kids had their own rooms in the grandparents' house. It was on the grandparents' property, and Sophie had her own room. I think the boys shared a room, but Sophie had her own room. So what's the problem? So she says, you're sure you're not taking pox shots? Yeah, I'm sure. Right. Okay. But the point of that is to discredit Michael, right? Like, let's be honest. The point of that purported fraud alert / press release was to discredit Michael publicly, correct? No. What other point would it possibly have? To put truth out where all that existed was allegations and accusations. Truth by way of discrediting Michael, fact by way of fact. Who is paying for the security right now? We don't have security right now. Okay. Who has paid for it in the past? Me. Anybody else? No. And how much in total have you paid for the security? I don't know that I've actually seen an invoice. I got one invoice in Discovery. And that was it. It was just for a couple of days. Are there other invoices that you received or paid? No. How much total have you paid for the security? Whatever was in that invoice. One invoice? Yeah. Are there additional sums that are owed at this time to your knowledge? Likely, yes. Okay. What's your intention about how do you want to handle those balances? Are you going to pay them? Yes. Is somebody else going to pay them on your behalf? No. Okay. Do you have any other sources of funds coming in or resource coming in to fund either your attorneys or professionals or security or PR firm right now? No. This is all from your paychecks, your salary. Yes. Are you tapping into any other resources that you have right now? I mean, my savings account, savings. Okay. Which was from my paycheck. Okay. Anything else? No. Did you and David discuss, and I don't know if you know this, but do you know that attorneys and how we handle client funds are subject to certain rules? Were you aware of that? No. Okay. Did you and David ever discuss how you're going to keep an accounting of funds that are being donated from the public or using the portal in his website? How you can keep an accounting of that, what's coming in and how it's being applied? No, I trust David. Okay. So at this point, you have no way to verify that or ensure that it's being used for what it purports to be used for. It hasn't been used at all to my knowledge. So no, I don't have a way to confirm that. Okay. So where would that be documented, Kelly? I don't know. In David's records. Okay. And that was requested in Discovery. Is there a way that you can make sure that we get that kind of documentation supplemented? Yes. Okay. Have you paid the ad litem attorney in this matter? No. Why not? I haven't gotten my invoice. Were you aware that Michael has paid a retainer at this time? No. Okay. Have you paid John Helms? No. Why not? I haven't received an invoice. Okay. Have you discussed with them, like making sure that they're being paid? I assume that those conversations were happening between David and them. And if there was action, what's up, buddy? And if there was action I needed to take, that David would tell me. Okay. I'm going to show you what I've marked as exhibit number 2. Do you recognize these as registration records for the 2016, 17, 2018, 2019, and 2020 school years for the kids? Yes. Okay. Now, in these records, I'm curious because I'm looking at the first page, 2016, 2017. Sophie Long. You would agree with me, Michael is not listed anywhere on here as a parent or legal guardian? No. Did you fill out this paperwork? Yes. And you chose not to put Michael listed anywhere on this paperwork? I didn't know that I was required to. Okay. I assumed that if he needed to contact the school that he would. I didn't understand that. Okay. You made a point, though, of including Ernest in this, correct? At that point, he was semi-living with us, yes, and attended the school assemblies for the kids on a regular basis. My question is, you included Ernest, and you did not include Michael, her father, correct? Yes. Okay. So he had access. And did you read the orders in place? At the time? I'm sure I did. Okay. Are you aware that Michael has a right to be listed on school forms? I was not. Okay. And he has a right to be listed as a person to be contacted in a case of emergency. I did not know that, she says. The same place where you listed Ernest. I did not know that. Okay. So let's talk about this other form for the next school year. This is Jack. Are you aware for 2008-2019 school year, you did not include Michael on any of the school paperwork? Yes. Okay. And you did that intentionally? No. I did not know I was supposed to include him. How could you not know that you're supposed to list him as a parent when where it clearly says parent? I didn't know it was required. Okay. Not even if it's required. Don't you just think that that's what you do? That's exactly what I was thinking, guys. Let's take a break for a second, because this is infuriating right here. Yeah, who the hell's Ernest, first of all? Right? Like, cares who Ernest is. Like, why isn't Michael listed as a parent? It doesn't make sense. It makes sense if she's trying to alienate the kids from Michael. I mean, it just does. I mean, what's her? Yeah, and she's totally playing dumb, and she's going. I didn't know it was required. It's not a question of what's required by law. The question is, do you not consider Michael to be the parent of these children, and do you not give him the respect of being their father and listed as an emergency contact? It's not a question of required. It's a question of decency. It's a question of co-parenting, which she's showing that she has absolutely no intention of doing. I didn't know it was required. Come on, man. Okay, but even if it's not required, don't you just think that that's what you do? Yeah. Kelly says, yeah, because you're a parent and he's a parent. I probably should have. Yes. Okay. But your position today is that you didn't do that intentionally? No. Okay. I'm looking at the 2019-2020 school registration for Lucas. Are you aware that you did not list Michael anywhere on this paperwork? Yes. Instead, under parent/legal guardian, you have listed who? Jake, who is living with us. Jake. Jake is not the parent of Lucas, is he? No. Michael is? I apologize. I must have put it in the wrong spot. I didn't know. Wait. The wrong spot. No. Hold on. I'm not even reading at this point. Like, this is infuriating. Okay? This is infuriating to me reading this right now. I have to take a break for a second because, yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But you should still include the dad. The dad has a right to know. Unless that dad is actually a danger and there's already a custody agreement that's already, and there's a temporary restraining order or whatever. Mama Bear, buy some treats for the kitty. Very beautiful cat. Thank you. Oh, see, Clyde? Oh, I called you Clyde. I called my old cat Jinxie. Jinxie. Say hi. Say hi. He's like, fuck you. Let me sleep. He's a good boy. You go, baby boy. Oh, see, now he wants to come hang out. Yeah, you can always write multiple emergency contacts. You can absolutely do that. I must have put it in the wrong spot. Come on, man. And he's not Jake. Jake's not a legal guardian for Lucas, is he? No. Would you be concerned if Michael, now enrolling the kids, left? And this is where I was going to. Would you be concerned if Michael, now enrolling kids, left you off of the paperwork? Would that be a problem for you? If I have requested it and he's left me off, yeah. I know you're checking your phone just to check the time. Kelly says, yeah. The problem is if you're referencing anything in a deposition, I have the right to grab it. I'll just turn it over and keep tapping it then. Well, I mean, I'm just saying I have the right to then say, hey, let's put that in evidence if you're looking at something on your phone. He says, okay, that's what I'm saying. I'll leave it here and I'll just tap so I can just see the time and I won't open anything. Richmond says, I'm going to show you what I've marked as Exhibit 3. Richmond says, this is an email that I don't know if you've seen. Did you get an email similar to this when you enrolled? This is the top one for, looks like Lucas, and then the bottom one is for Jack. Did you get a similar email from this doctor's office confirming the registration? Yes. No, I did not. You did not get it. Informing, she goes, I did, but this is not what I said. Okay, so somewhere in your inbox you have emails like this. Yes. Okay, and who filled out the intake paperwork for Lucas and Jack? Kelly says, Michael. Did you also fill out paperwork for this doctor? I don't want to say the doctor name. No. So how do the logical conclusion then is that Michael hyphenated the last name of Lucas and Jack with this doctor? I didn't fill out any intake paperwork. I have triple checked. Have you contacted this doctor? And if I did, I don't remember it. And if I look through all of my emails for it, and I have even contacted this doctor to say, can you send me what I filled out? And they said they don't have anything. Okay. So you were aware of this issue before you got here today, correct? Yes. And you knew it. And I was going to ask you about it. I didn't know what you were going to ask me about. Well, it sounds like you've done a little bit of diligence to go back into your inbox and check up on it, right? Of course. Okay. Have you contacted this doctor's office at all regarding counseling for Jack and Luke and Lucas to schedule appointments? She says, okay. Do you know where they got the name Long Fernan? I don't. Is that your maiden name? No. Who is Fernan? I don't know. You have no idea the name. The last name Fernan. Fernan, I mean, it was a variation of my dad's middle name, and I didn't fill out any paperwork or use that name anywhere. Have you used the last name Long Fernan for Lucas, Jack, or Sophie at any time? No. Okay. There's several YouTubers, vlogging on your behalf on the internet. Do you know any of that? No. Do you only follow stuff on the internet that concerns stuff in Michael's camp? Remember, guys, I read this because I escaped 100 fucking pages. This is the thing that I had skipped to and I read. Whatever, I'll just read it again. I don't actually follow anything on the internet. I have people that bring me something concerning to my attention, but I would absolutely, I think, crush my soul to live in what is the internet right now. Okay. Do you support any of the sort of counter narrative online being waged on your behalf? No. I mean, I'm not paying attention to it, so I don't have anything to do with it. Right. But you're paying somebody to do it for you. No. You have a PR firm who is doing that exact thing, right? No. They put out a press release, and that's all I'm aware of that they've done. 2 press releases is all that you've paid them to do. Yes. What else have they done? That's coordinate if people are requesting interviews, like the Nancy Grace situation. That's pretty much the only one that I'm aware of. Okay, so the Nancy Grace situation. That was the day after our October 2nd hearing. Do you think that that was proper? Do you think that was proper that David went on Nancy Grace? Yes. And did you approve of it, of that in advance? Yes. Okay. So when it's somebody supporting you, that's okay. It's just when it's somebody's online supporting Michael that you have a problem with it. I feel like you just have put. I feel like you've just put words in my mouth. So then I don't agree with that. Well, you described it as soul crushing potentially to follow it. Yeah, reading horrific things being said about you and death threats coming your way is pretty soul crushing. Yes. Are you aware of your PR firm being in communication with any social media personalities or YouTubers on your behalf? Yes. Who are they in contact with? I'm not sure. They said they would send the press release out to YouTubers, and that's the extent of which you don't know which ones. No. Okay. But you are aware that people on YouTube were going to be receiving some sort of press release on your behalf. Yes. And do you know who specifically is in communication with them or feeding them that information? Is it just Kelsey or is it somebody else? I don't, just Kelsey to my knowledge. Okay. Right. After October 2nd, these people on YouTube post to social media that they have all kinds of, alleged insider information about what happened on October 2nd and about the settlement. Did that come from your PR firm? Kelly says, I would assume. Right. So, and do you have any other friends or family members that are also providing information to people on the internet to publish information about this case or involving anything involving your family? I know that there are friends that try to defend me online. Who? Well, my sister's best friend. What's her name? Lisa. Lisa what? And what does Lisa do online? I think she just follows it and keeps me informed. I mean, really, they contact me to see if there's anything that perhaps I should know about or be aware of. Who else is they? My sister. What's her name? Danielle. Yes. And what does your sister tell you? She sends me screenshots. Okay. Do Danielle or Lisa ever publish any information online themselves? I don't know. You don't know if anything that they've actually said, they've never brought to your attention. Hey, I posted this or that, and I talked to so-and-so about this, and then they posted. I don't believe my sister would say anything online about this situation. So I feel like I could say that pretty confidently. As for Lisa, I don't actually know. I don't know. You don't know? Who else? I don't know. I have a lot of people that are in these groups that are reading things, then I don't have any knowledge of them posting anything. Okay. Who else is reading things on your behalf? Like in these groups, kind of. You want to know all of their names? Well, I mean, I asked you a question earlier about, are you aware of people online monitoring these things? Are you posting things on your behalf, like in these other groups that are supportive of Michael? And you said no. I feel very confident. Now I hold on. Now, I feel like you're telling me you're aware of a lot of people that are at least monitoring and reporting back to you. So that's a little bit different than what your prior answer was, that you had no knowledge of that whatsoever. She says, I have been contacted by several people. I've known dozens of people I've known throughout my life who have reached out to me to say, what is going on? Are you okay? That doesn't necessarily mean that I can speak to the monitoring that they're doing, or if they are responding to anything. I don't know. Who has reached out to you? Carrie. Is that Carrie with a C or a K? With a K. Amanda. Let's see. Candace. Lauren. Hold on. Candace, is that is that one word or two? Oh, she's talking about the last name. Okay, who else? Lauren. Okay. I don't know. There were dozens of others that I just can't remember off the top of my head right now. And these dozens of people, Carrie, Amanda, Candace, Lauren, Danielle, Lisa, have they given you specific information about what they see online? Some of them. What have they provided for you? Screenshots of what's happening. Have all those been produced to me in Discovery? I don't know. I didn't know that I needed to. They needed to be, since they are on the internet. You cannot, I mean, there's a way that you can confirm that you've produced to me everything that you've received from the internet, from these people reaching out to you about the case, sharing screenshots. I could certainly look. Yeah. Have you ever been fired or terminated from a position from a job? No. Okay. So this changes. All right. Yeah, I mean, she's clearly aware, guys. She's clearly aware of everything that's being said to her online. I mean, like she even knows that I'm up here doing this. Because they talked about me in the hearing on the 4th. And it's now what, the 25th? Technically it's the 25th as of midnight. Like, and I mean, so this PR firm that's so great at making Kelly look so fantastic used a YouTuber who had their channel removed by YouTube today for violating terms of service. For bullying and harassing. Yeah. So that's all you need to know, folks. It's all you need to know. Now, I'm gonna go over the rest of this. Hopefully, it's only gonna take one more live to do. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so much, man. There's so much. These people are trying so hard to shut people up. It's just so funny. And they're failing. They're failing. Like the people they're using to shut people up are getting shut up. I mean, it's just funny, dude. Yeah, like it's just backfiring left and right. But I mean, the problem is that it doesn't matter because the courts are just doing whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? Like they're deciding, they're making these decisions. Yeah. Well, I wish I had a bigger voice for this, you know. That's all it is. Um because I am invested again. I'm absolutely invested. I think that the court has made horrible decisions considering, you know, right. Well, the court is making decisions, you know? I mean, the court granted her motion to throw Michael in jail. You know what I mean? So, no. I mean, yes. So somebody so from what I understand, Michael had my understanding is Michael had a pleasant conversation with someone who could possibly help. So it seems that this person is going to look over everything that Michael shares with them, and then they'll decide whether or not they're even going to talk about it or not. So I don't want to give anybody false hope, but we're trying. We're trying. I mean, you know, I don't know if Michael's doing anything wrong. I don't. But I know what I'm reading, what I'm hearing from this deposition is just like vindictiveness, just pure vindictiveness coming from her end. Yeah, he does need legal representation. He absolutely does need legal representation. And at this point, you know, I just won't do that, guys. I don't fuck with GoFundMe's. If you've followed my channel in the last year, you'll know why I don't. I just don't. You know, I'm not against anybody else. I'm not telling you not to donate to the GoFundMe. If you want to help Michael with that, help Michael with that. If you want to do that, right on. But this is to the extent of what I'm willing to do to contribute. You know, I think putting the word out there is a lot. I mean, there is a GoFundMe out there. If you want to donate to it, you can find it and you can do it. But I just don't. I will not connect my channel with any GoFundMes. I don't care where they're going. I don't care what they're for. I don't touch GoFundMes. Yeah, I don't mess with GoFundMes, man. Yeah, man. I'm beat. I'm exhausted. Jinxie boy. Scratching the arm of the couch. Come here, buddy. No? Okay. I'm glad you're enjoying the chat and you're enjoying the channel. Thank you, Aunt Lizzie. I really appreciate it. I'm really glad that you're enjoying it. Yeah, the whole Courtney thing is just he totally did, Jerry K. It's totally how he walked away too. It was just like it's funny. I don't know what Baka is, Road King. Well, you know what I'm doing doesn't matter if I don't have you guys in here. So it's you guys in here helping that algorithm happen and making more people aware of this issue. Oh, Bikers Against Child Abuse. I've heard of them. Yeah, man. But no, I've never done anything with them. Maybe I'll try to get somebody from there on here. That would be great. Like if I could reach out to somebody and get them on here and let them explain what they do. I love that. I had the Truckers Against Predator guy on here once. A lot of people hated that guy, man. I don't understand what was going on. Oh wow, JLL, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Um yeah, man, people did like apparently there's a whole apparently there's just this whole like this guy's got his haters, you know? I mean, that sounds familiar. I got mine too. Um but but I liked having him on, man. I don't know anything about what they were talking about, but I really I really enjoyed having him on. I liked his perspective, and I think what he's doing, at least in what he appears to be doing, I like, you know. Oh, that is dope. Is that really what they do? They adopt an abuse victim and follow them until they're grown. Like they basically assign themselves to be their guardian angel until they're grown up. That's the dopest thing ever. Like that is so cool. Yeah, that's fantastic. I already love that. Like I already love these guys. Yeah, I had a big brother. I was in the foster care system for a while when I was a kid, and I had a big brother, and he was awesome. And I just recently like made I just the last couple of years, just a couple of years ago, I made contact with him, and we got to talking and catching up, and you know, like it, I hadn't even touched a guitar prior to that uh, when I had met him. So like all the stuff happened in all the years that I wasn't in touch with him. So it was just cool to like for the both of us to see how we're doing. Uh, and he's like real musical, so he was just really impressed with me playing guitar. Um, and then he died of COVID last year. Like it destroyed me because we were just making plans to like finally like meet up and have this like reunion thing. And I was going to go to St. Louis and go to a Cardinals game with him like we used to do, and he died of COVID. Um, like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It destroyed me. I was a wreck for days. I was a wreck for days when that happened. Because for years I wanted to know where he was, what he was doing. It's a guy I hadn't seen since I was 11 years old, and he was so important to me because like when you're in the system, like the feeling that I got from the system from being in the system was feeling unwanted. For a child, that's a horrible feeling to have. When you're a kid and you feel like you're like you you just feel like in limbo. You have no home. There's nobody to go home to and comfort you and nurture you. Uh, and it just feels like nobody cares. Um, that was the most, yeah, it was a really, really horrible feeling to have as a kid. Uh, that's where my depression really started and everything. Um, and, uh, and, and, and then this dude came along and he was just the coolest dude in the world. I remember I was in trouble that day and I didn't get to eat lunch with everybody else in the cafeteria. Um, and what they were serving was terrible. And I got to eat a cold one later on. Like I just happened to be in trouble that day. And then he scheduled like to come meet me. And so they like organized it to where like I was going to sit in the cafeteria, just me and him, and talk over some food. and we were like, I was eating it because I eat the shit every day. And he's like, dude, like, he's like, you eat this like every day? I'm like, yeah, you know. And he's like, nah, let's get out of here, man. And he just took me in his truck. We went to go McDonald's. We went to McDonald's. And to me at that time, McDonald's was like gourmet, you know. And he was like, yeah, let's go get some McDonald's, dude. And yeah. And then he would like pick me up and take me, you know, we just hang out at his house sometimes, but he would take me to like Cardinals games and Blues games. You know, it was just super fun. And I was at his wedding, and yeah, saw the guy get married and everything. It's just, yeah, he's just a good dude. But yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm going to call it for tonight. Hopefully, I mean, there's only 50 pages, 50 fucking pages. There's only 50 pages left to this thing. And I'm gonna try to wrap this up soon. But dude, what's your problem with the St. Louis Blues? You got a problem with the St. Louis Blues? Crikey. Whenever I think about that dude, man, it's so funny. Like, I almost want to post his channel here. I just, you know, like, but the problem is he's too crazy. Like, he's super obsessed. So I don't want to promote him in any way. Because he's completely and totally insane. I can't ever get that out of my head. 100 fucking pages. 100 fucking pages. Okay. That's it for me, man. I'm too tired. I'm all punchy now because I'm all sleepy. I love you guys. We will do this again very soon, my friends.